In this video, I'm going to demonstrate installing the SQL Server 2022 software, as well as the SQL Server Management Studio software on a Windows desktop computer. I've already navigated to the Downloads page for Microsoft SQL Server, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit to see the options here. There are 4 options for downloading the software. I'm going to choose the one on the right, SQL Server 2022 Express. This is adequate for a home work environment. It's a free edition, and it will give you all the features that you need for learning basics about SQL Server 2022. So I'm going to click Download Now. And Chrome is saving it into my Downloads folder automatically for me. And once that's been downloaded, I can just click on this open arrow to begin installing the software. Now, depending on how your home computer is set up, you may get a screen that looks like this that asks you to enter administrator username and password. The account that I've logged in is not an admin username and password, so I'm going to have to provide that here in order to allow the software to be installed. And then I'll see I have 3 options here, basic or custom or download media. I'm going to choose basic to keep this installation simple. I'll have the licensing terms for the software to read and accept. I will click accept here, and then it tells me where it plans to install the software. That's fine for me, so I'll click install. And now it's going to take a few minutes. So I'm going to pause the video while this completes the installation. Once the installation completes, you'll see a screen like this. It gives you information about several items from the installation. The one that's really important is the instance name. Because we use the Express Edition, by default, my instance name is SQL Express. We'll be using that later in the Server Management Studio. In fact, now that I want to install Server Management Studio, all I have to do is click this button down here, Install Server Management Studio, and it's going to take me straight to the web page where I can download this software. This page gives me a lot of information about the software product, but what I'm looking for is the download link. So I will scroll down a little bit until I get to step 2, and I'll see a link to download the current version, which in this case is SSMS 21. So I'll click this link right here, and I will see Chrome download the link to my downloads folder. Once again, I can click open to launch that program, which is the Visual Studio installer. It does require that I use an administrator username and password, so I'm going to enter that. If you're already logged on using an administrator username and password, you probably won't see this screen. And now it's going to warn me that it needs to set a few things up so it can configure my installation. I'll click continue. Because I've already done this earlier today, I shouldn't see a lot of things get downloaded to mine, but you may see a few things for your computer. And then I will see a screen where I can choose some additional components. Today, I'm just going to use the default installation. I'm not going to add any components. So I'm going to go to the lower right-hand corner, and I'm going to click Install. And now I'll see that I'm in the Visual Studio installer. I also have Visual Studio Community 2022 on my program or my home computer. So I see this here. You may or may not have that on your computer, The important thing is that we're seeing SQL Server Management Studio 21 get installed. And this is going to take a few moments while all of these packages are installed, so I'm going to pause the video while this installation completes. Now that my installation is completed, I'll see all installations are up to date at the top, and I can go ahead and launch this software. So let's give it a try. Now here I can first see the splash screen. And then now it's trying to log me in with my Microsoft account to the SQL Server Management Studio. You may or may not be prompted for a username and password for that, but if you are, you can use your student Microsoft account. Then you'll see the software open. And then you'll be asked if you want to use the new connection dialog experience, as it's a preview feature. So I'll go ahead and say yes to try it out. Whether you do or not isn't that important. And then I'm going to be asked about the database server that I want to connect to. When we installed SQL Server Express 2022, we were told that our instance name in this case was SQL Express. That's what I'm going to use here. So I'm going to put in here that the server is located on my local host, which is one word, local host. I'm going to put a backslash next. And then in all caps, I'm going to say SQL Express. That's the name of my database server instance. We're also going to go ahead and check Trust Server Certificate so that we don't have any certificate issues. And by default, it wants to use your Windows authentication username and password. That should be fine for us. I'm going to click Connect. And now what I will see up here at the top in the Object Explorer is localhost /SQL Express. And my local domain and username is over here on the right. And at this point, I can now interact with different databases and server objects. So at this point, my installation is complete for both software products, and I should be able to get started using SQL Server 2022.